So Timothy and I met 8 years ago in this weird way. We were both stuck in this small-town diner during that massive flooding in 2016. The roads were closed, cell service was down, and we ended up playing cards with some locals for 6 hours. He made me laugh during what should have been a stressful situation. We exchanged Instagrams when service came back, started dating a month later, and got married after 2 years. Our daughter Avery is 6 now, and literally the best thing in my life. She's this little tornado of energy, always dancing, spinning, jumping on furniture, despite how many times I tell her not to. A few months ago, she came home from school talking nonstop about how her friend Olivia was taking dance classes and how the teacher lets them wear real ballet shoes, and could she please take classes too? I thought it was a great idea. Avery has so much energy, and I figured dance would be perfect for her. When I brought it up to Timothy that night, his reaction was weird. He looked up from his phone and laughed. Not a nice laugh. This dismissive snort that made me instantly defensive. He said we couldn't afford luxuries like dance classes on his salary alone, and that if I wanted Avery to do expensive activities, maybe I should contribute more financially. This caught me completely off guard. I'd cut back to part-time after Avery was born, which was something we both agreed on. And we weren't struggling financially as far as I knew. We have a modest house, 2 older cars that are paid off, and while we're not taking lavish vacations, I didn't think we were in such dire straits that $60 a month for dance was out of reach. When I said as much, Timothy pulled up our bank app and showed me how little was left after bills each month. The numbers seemed off somehow, but I couldn't articulate why. He's always managed our finances because he has a head for numbers. So I agreed to pick up a second job. Found an evening shift position at this diner near our house. The schedule was brutal. My regular job during the day, then waiting tables 4 nights a week. I'd come home exhausted, feet aching, smelling like fryer oil. Timothy said I was being dramatic when I mentioned how tired I was. He actually said, and I will never forget this, that I didn't deserve to be tired if I barely contributed financially. I swallowed my pride because, hey, this was for Avery's dance classes. Except 3 months into my second job, Avery still wasn't enrolled in any dance classes. Every time I brought it up, Timothy had an excuse. The good studio was full. We should wait until the next session. We needed to save a bit more first. Meanwhile, I started noticing things. Like Avery talking about going to the zoo when she was with Timothy on my work nights. Or coming home with new toys that I hadn't bought. Or mentioning someone named Lisa, who was apparently Daddy's friend. When I casually asked Timothy about Lisa, he said she was just a coworker who was going through a divorce and sometimes hung out with them because she was lonely. He said she was good with kids, and it gave him adult conversation on the evenings I worked. Made sense, I guess. But then Avery started saying weird things, like how Lisa takes better photos than Mommy, or asking if Lisa can come to my birthday. And the kicker, she started calling me Mira sometimes instead of Mommy. When I asked her about it, she shrugged and said, "Lisa calls you Mira, so I thought that was your name too." That set off major alarm bells. I checked Timothy's Instagram and found nothing suspicious. No Lisa. Checked his Facebook. Same thing. When I tried to casually bring her up again, he got irritated and said I was being paranoid and that his friendship wasn't up for discussion. Things really started falling apart 3 months ago. I came home early one night because the diner was slow, the house was empty, Timothy's car was gone, and he wasn't answering texts. He finally responded, saying they were grabbing ice cream and would be home soon. When they arrived an hour later, Avery was wearing a brand new outfit I'd never seen and talking excitedly about the cartoon movie they'd just seen. Not ice cream, a movie. And from the way she talked, it was clear they included Lisa. After Avery went to bed, I confronted Timothy, asked why he lied about where they were, asked why Avery had new clothes when we supposedly couldn't afford dance classes, asked who exactly this Lisa person was to our family. He got this cold look I'd never seen before and said, "Maybe if you were more fun, she'd still call you Mommy." I just stood there, shocked, angry, hurt. But I didn't say anything, just nodded and walked away because what do you even say to that? That was 5 months ago, and since then, I've been paying attention, working and watching. And the pattern is clear. Timothy has work dinners that always happen to fall on my nights off. Avery mentions staying at Lisa's house sometimes when I have overnight shifts. There are charges on our credit card for restaurants and movies on nights Timothy told me he was working late. Timothy has new clothes, a fancy new smartwatch, but we still can't afford Avery's dance classes. Last week, I was helping Avery clean her room and found a stack of photos tucked in her dresser drawer. Pictures of her, Timothy, and a woman I'd never seen before at an amusement park, a water park, what looked like a Christmas gathering. The photos had dates on the back. This has been going on for over a year, since before my second job. The woman, Lisa, I assume, is pretty in that Instagram influencer way. Blonde, perfect teeth, the kind of casual, expensive clothes that look effortless but probably cost a week of my diner wages. In one photo, Avery is wearing a dance outfit, a real one with a tutu and everything. The date said over a year ago. Guess he took her to classes back then and stopped. She never told me, and I never knew until Olivia brought it up again. So he told me we couldn't afford dance classes, made me get a second job, all while he was taking our daughter to dance classes with another woman, and spending plenty of money doing it. Yesterday, Avery asked me if Lisa was going to be her new mommy someday. Just like that, over breakfast, between bites of cereal, I nearly dropped my coffee mug. I asked her what made her think that. She shrugged and said, "Because Daddy and Lisa are special friends, and she sleeps in Daddy's room when I stay at her house." I don't even know what to do with that information. I haven't confronted Timothy yet because I need to be smart about this. I can't just explode and make everything worse for Avery. So here's my plan. I'm requesting copies of all our financial records for the past year. I'm switching my diner shifts to align better with Avery's schedule. I'm saving every photo, every piece of evidence I can find. I've made an appointment with a lawyer next week. I'm done being gaslit. Done working myself to exhaustion while my husband builds a new family with another woman. Done watching my daughter slip away from me. I feel like I'm living in some alternate reality where everything I thought I knew was a lie. First update. So, I have updates. And they're not good. Remember how I mentioned I was going to request copies of our financial records? Well, I did one better. Timothy has always handled our finances, claiming I'm not good with money. His words, not mine. Our main account is joint. But he set up the online banking years ago, and I realized I didn't even have the login info anymore. The password I thought we used didn't work when I tried it. Instead of asking him, which would have immediately tipped him off, I went directly to our bank branch last Wednesday during my lunch break. The teller initially gave me that skeptical look when I explained I needed statements but didn't have online access to my own account. But when I showed my ID and explained I was a joint account holder who simply needed access to our family finances, she was super helpful. What I found made me want to throw up right there in the bank lobby. For the past 18 months, Timothy has been transferring money, regular amounts, usually between $300 and $500, to a separate account I knew nothing about, like clockwork, on the first of every month, plus random additional transfers scattered throughout. Sometimes small amounts, sometimes larger ones, coinciding with what I now realize were those work trips he'd take. The amounts added up to over $20,000 in the past year alone. $20,000. And here I am, working double shifts at a diner for months because we supposedly couldn't afford $60 a month for dance classes. That's less than what he transfers to this mystery account in a single day sometimes. But wait, it gets better. Or worse, really. The statements showed regular charges at places I didn't recognize. Lots of restaurant tabs way higher than anything we ever spend when we go out as a family. Hotel charges in nearby cities. A jewelry store purchase for over $1,000 at Christmas, when my gift from him was a $20 scarf from Target, which I was grateful for at the time because we were on a tight budget. After the bank, I went home and did something I've never done before. I went through Timothy's desk drawers while he was at work. I felt like a criminal in my own house, hands shaking as I sorted through papers. But what I found was worse than I imagined. A credit card statement for an account in Timothy's name only, with charges for plane tickets to Florida 3 months ago. During that week, he told me he was at a training conference upstate. 2 tickets. One under his name, one under Lisa Harrington. I took photos of everything with my phone. Evidence. Then I found the property tax statement for a condo across town that I had no idea we owned. Or rather, Timothy owns. His name only on the document, purchased a year ago. Guess where Avery goes on those nights when I work late? Not Lisa's house, as she says, but a whole separate property that my husband bought without my knowledge. Edit. And that's when everything started clicking into place. For months, I'd been killing myself at the diner for a few hundred extra dollars. Money he didn't even need. I used to think he made me get that second job because we were struggling. Because maybe things were tighter than I realized. But now, I see it for what it was. A way to keep me busy, out of the house, too exhausted to ask questions. If I'm gone every night, then Lisa gets to be the one doing bedtime, making pancakes, playing mommy. That second job wasn't about dance classes. It was about getting me out of the way. I spent the rest of the afternoon in a weird, calm state of shock, just methodically taking photos of everything I found, putting it all back exactly where it was, and then sitting on our back porch, staring at nothing until it was time to pick up Avery from school. When she came running out of the building, face lighting up when she saw me instead of Timothy, he usually does pick up on Wednesdays, I made a decision. No more diner shifts during her waking hours. No more missing bedtimes and school events. No more letting this other woman take my place. That night, I called the diner and rearranged my schedule. Early morning shifts before Avery wakes up, and just 2 evening shifts on weekends when she has activities with friends. Less money. But I'd rather eat ramen for dinner than miss another moment of my daughter's childhood. Timothy was surprised when I told him about the schedule change. Asked if this meant I was quitting the second job entirely. I just smiled and said I wanted more time with Avery. He looked uncomfortable, said something about how we still needed the extra income. I just shrugged and said I'd make it work. The next day, I took Avery out for ice cream after school. Just the two of us. She seemed almost shy around me at first, which broke my heart. When had my own daughter become a stranger? But by the time we finished our Sundays, she was chattering away about her friends and school. I asked her, casual as could be, if she still wanted to take dance classes. The way her entire face lit up told me everything. So I drove straight to the dance studio Olivia attends and signed her up on the spot. Paid for a whole 3 months in advance with my own money that I'd been saving from diner tips. When I told Avery, she literally started jumping up and down in the parking lot. Asked when she could tell Lisa. I kept my voice neutral and said Lisa didn't need to know everything. This could be our special thing. Just Mom and Avery. That weekend was Avery's first class. I bought her a proper leotard and those little ballet slippers she'd wanted so badly. Timothy was weirdly quiet when we came home with her dance gear. Asked where the money came from. I just said I'd been saving for something special for Avery. He didn't push it, but I could tell he wasn't happy. Over the next couple weeks, I kept digging. Found Lisa's Instagram account. Private, but her profile picture confirmed she was the woman from the photos. Found her LinkedIn. Works at the same company as Timothy. Big surprise. Found the registration for that condo. Purchased just 2 months after he told me we needed to tighten our belts and I should pick up extra shifts. Every discovery made me angrier, but also more determined. I started making backup copies of important documents. Set up my own bank account at a different bank and began transferring small amounts from my diner tips into it. Asked my mom to hold on to copies of the evidence I'd gathered just in case. Told her Timothy and I were having issues but didn't get into details. Didn't want to worry her yet. Last Tuesday, I had a consultation with a lawyer. Laid everything out. The secret accounts, the condo, the trips, all of it. She listened without judgment, taking notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she looked up from her notepad and asked what I wanted. I realized I hadn't actually articulated that, even to myself. What did I want? I want my daughter back, fully and completely. I want financial stability that doesn't depend on a man who's been lying to me for years. I want to never again feel like I'm crazy for questioning things that don't add up. I want Lisa out of my family's life. I want Timothy to face consequences for what he's done. The lawyer nodded and said we had options. With the financial evidence I'd gathered, plus the documentation of his ongoing relationship with Lisa, I had grounds for a favorable divorce settlement. She advised me to continue gathering evidence, but to be careful not to tip my hand too soon. Meanwhile, things with Avery have been getting better every day. She loves her dance classes. Asks me to practice with her at home instead of telling me about what Lisa taught her. Yesterday, she called me mommy again for the first time in months, and I had to excuse myself to the bathroom so she wouldn't see me crying. Timothy has been acting increasingly nervous, checking his phone more often, coming home late and leaving early. Yesterday, I overheard him on the phone in our backyard, speaking in that hushed, tense voice people use when they're arguing but don't want to be overheard. Caught fragments about suspicious and asking questions, and need more time. I pretended not to notice. Last night, things came to a head in a way I wasn't expecting. Timothy came home from work agitated, paced around the kitchen while I made dinner, checking his watch every few minutes. Finally asked when I was going to give up this dance class nonsense because it was an unnecessary expense. I kept chopping vegetables, didn't even look up. Said Avery loved her classes and I'd already paid for 3 months in advance. He slammed his hand on the counter hard enough to make the dishes rattle. Demanded to know where I got the money. I finally looked up, knife still in hand, and told him I'd been saving my tips. That money I earned was mine to spend, especially on our daughter. His face did this weird thing, like he couldn't decide whether to be angry or afraid. He ended up storming out, slamming the door. She heard the noise from her room and came running down, asked where Daddy went. I just hugged her and said he needed some air. We ended up having a girls' night, pizza, nail painting, and practicing her dance moves in the living room. He didn't come home until after midnight. I pretended to be asleep. This morning, I got a text from Timothy's mom asking if we were still coming to their anniversary party next weekend. Mentioned how they were looking forward to seeing us, and how his dad was excited to finally meet Timothy's friend Lisa, who would also be attending. Read that again. His parents' anniversary party, where he's invited Lisa, his parents who apparently know about her, but have been led to believe she's just a friend. I texted back that of course we'd be there, and how nice it would be to meet Lisa myself. Screenshot saved, of course. Then I called my lawyer, because I think I just found the perfect opportunity to reveal everything I know. A family gathering where Timothy can't make a scene, where his parents will be witnesses, where Lisa will be present, and where I can finally stop pretending I don't know what's going on. The lawyer thought it was risky but potentially effective. Suggested I bring printed copies of key financial documents. Nothing that could be dismissed as misunderstood or explained away. So that's where things stand now. 1 week until the anniversary party. I'm terrified but also weirdly calm. I've started putting together what my mom would call a fuck you folder. Copies of bank statements, property records, photos, everything neatly organized. Evidence that can't be denied or explained away. I'm done being the exhausted waitress working double shifts while my husband builds a secret life with another woman. I'm done being gaslit about our finances. I'm done watching another woman try to take my place as Avery's mother. Second update. It's been 4 days since my last update, and things are moving fast now. I'm writing this from my mom's guest room at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep. This week has been a roller coaster. So the anniversary party is tomorrow, and I've been preparing on multiple fronts. But something happened yesterday that I didn't expect, and it's thrown me a bit off balance. Let me back up and fill you in on everything since my last post. The day after I discovered Timothy was planning to bring Lisa to his parents' anniversary party, I decided to take a calculated risk. I called his mom directly, something I rarely do since Timothy usually handles family communications. I casually mentioned I was looking forward to finally meeting Lisa at the party and asked what she knew about her. There was this weird pause on the phone. Then his mom said something that confirmed everything. She told me how Timothy had explained that Lisa was helping with Avery while I was focused on building my career with my second job, that I was struggling to balance motherhood and work, and Lisa was just stepping in as a friend. His mom actually sounded sympathetic toward Lisa, this woman who's been sleeping with my husband and playing mommy to my daughter. She mentioned how Timothy brought Lisa to their house for dinner last month when I was working late. I was working late at the diner to supposedly help our family finances. I made some vague, agreeable noises and ended the call before I could say something I'd regret. Then I sat in my car in the Target parking lot and screamed into my jacket for about 5 minutes. After that call, I reached out to my own mom for help. I've been keeping her somewhat in the dark about how bad things really are because she lives 3 hours away, and I didn't want her to worry. But I needed backup, so I finally told her everything. Mom was furious, not just at Timothy, but at me for not telling her sooner. We had this intense conversation where she kept saying she'd drive up immediately, and I kept insisting I needed to handle this myself. We compromised. She'd come up the day after the anniversary party to help with Avery while I sorted through the aftermath. With that backup secure, I turned my focus to 3 priorities: strengthening my relationship with Avery, finalizing my evidence collection, preparing myself mentally for what was coming. For Avery, I've been fully committed to dance class time. I joined that parent class I mentioned, and while I'm honestly terrible at it, seriously, I have the coordination of a newborn giraffe. Avery thinks it's hilarious in the best way. She's been teaching me the moves she learns in her class, all serious and professional like a tiny dance instructor. It's become our special thing. Wednesday afternoon, I picked her up early from school and took her to get ice cream. While we were sitting there with our sundaes, she asked me something that broke my heart all over again. She wanted to know if I was mad at her for liking Lisa. I had to take a deep breath before answering, told her that I could never be mad at her for caring about someone, and that grown-up stuff between me and Daddy and Lisa wasn't her fault or her problem. She seemed relieved, but then asked another bomb of a question. She wanted to know if Lisa was going to live with them at the other house all the time now. I asked her what she meant by the other house. She explained it like it was the most normal thing, that Daddy and Lisa have a house where she sometimes stays over. And it has a pretty pink room just for her with all kinds of toys that don't fit in our house. She even has her own toothbrush there with unicorns on it. So there it was. Confirmation that the condo I discovered in Timothy's name is basically Lisa's place, where they've been playing house with my daughter. They've set up a whole parallel life, complete with a bedroom for Avery. I managed to keep it together, asked a few more questions like I was just curious, not having my world tilted on its axis again. Found out the other house has a pool in the building, and that Miss Lisa makes really good pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. That night, after Avery was asleep, I laid out every piece of evidence I'd collected. Bank statements, property records, photos, text screenshots. I created what my lawyer called a divorce documentation package. Everything neatly organized in a folder, with copies stored in both digital and physical form in multiple locations. One set with my mom, one in my personal email, one in a new Google Drive account Timothy knows nothing about. Then I did something I hadn't planned on. I drove by the condo address I'd found in Timothy's papers. I didn't intend to go inside or confront anyone. I just needed to see it for myself. It was in one of those fancy new mixed-use developments downtown, the kind with boutique shops on the ground floor and luxury apartments above, the kind that costs more per month than what we pay on our mortgage. The next day, Timothy started acting strangely. He came home early from work, which never happens, started asking weirdly specific questions about my schedule, about who was watching Avery when I was at the diner, about whether my mom was planning to visit soon. At one point, he picked up my phone from the kitchen counter and asked if I changed my passcode. I hadn't. I'd been careful not to change any of my normal patterns. I told him no, must be misremembering it. He tried again and got in, scrolled through something quickly, then put it down like it was nothing. That night, he suggested we talk about our relationship. This from a man who has avoided serious conversations for our entire marriage. He started with how he knew things had been difficult lately, but he thought we could work through this phase. Said maybe I should cut back on the diner job since it was causing stress for everyone. I just nodded and said I'd think about it. Inside, alarm bells were ringing. He knew something was up. Maybe Lisa had seen me outside the condo. Maybe his mom had said something about our call. Maybe he'd noticed the missing financial documents I'd copied and returned to his desk. Friday morning, yesterday, I woke up to find Timothy already gone, which was odd for a weekday. His side of the bed didn't look slept in. Avery said he'd left before she woke up too. I dropped Avery at school and then went to meet with my lawyer one final time before the anniversary party. We went through the evidence again, discussed how to approach the confrontation, and talked about what to expect afterward. She warned me that Timothy might try to gaslight everyone, might get angry, might even try to turn his family against me. But with the evidence I had, It would be hard for him to deny everything. When I got home, there was a vase of flowers on the kitchen counter. Roses. With a card that said, "I love our family. T." In 8 years of marriage, Timothy has sent me flowers exactly twice. Once when we were dating, and once after Avery was born. These weren't apology flowers. These were, "I know you know something" flowers. I put them in the guest bathroom and went about my day. By the time I picked up Avery from school, I had 17 missed calls from Timothy. I texted him that my phone had been on silent during a meeting and was everything okay? He called immediately, asking where I was, where Avery was, sounding panicked. I told him we were heading to the mall to look for an outfit for Avery to wear to his parents' anniversary party. He seemed to calm down, said he'd be home for dinner, asked if we could have a family night. I agreed. He showed up with pizza and ice cream, Avery's favorites. Spent the whole evening being super dad, playing games, helping with homework, offering to do bath time. It was like watching an actor audition for the role of Father of the Year. After Avery went to bed, he sat down next to me on the couch, closer than he's voluntarily been in months. Started talking about how maybe we should take a family vacation soon, just the three of us. How he's been thinking about our future. How much Avery needs both her parents. I just sat there, watching him perform this role of devoted husband, wondering if he actually believed I was buying it. At one point, he reached for my hand, and I let him take it because it seemed easier than pulling away. His palm was sweaty. He asked if I was still planning to go to his parents' anniversary party tomorrow. I said, of course, why wouldn't I be? The look of relief on his face was almost comical. Then he casually mentioned that his friend Lisa probably wouldn't make it after all. Something about a family emergency. I just nodded and said that was too bad. I'd been looking forward to meeting her. This morning, I woke up to Timothy watching me sleep. Not in a romantic way, in a nervous, monitoring way. When I opened my eyes, he quickly pretended he was just getting up. Asked if I wanted breakfast. If we should take Avery to the park before heading to his parents' house later. I smiled and said, sure, that sounded nice. Then I went to take a shower. And when I came out, I caught him scrolling through my phone again. He didn't see me watching from the hallway. I cleared my throat and he jumped like I'd shocked him, dropping my phone on the couch. That's when I decided I needed a backup plan. After breakfast, I told Timothy I needed to run a quick errand to pick up a gift for his parents. Instead, I drove straight to my mom's house, told her everything that had happened in the last few days, and asked if she could come back with me now instead of waiting until tomorrow. Mom didn't hesitate, packed a bag in 10 minutes, and we drove back together. When we pulled into the driveway, Timothy was standing on the porch, arms crossed, looking like he'd seen a ghost when he spotted my mom in the passenger seat. The next few hours were this weird dance of Timothy trying to be charming to my mom while shooting me confused, panicked looks when she wasn't watching, mom being polite but cold, me pretending everything was normal while finalizing my mental preparation for tomorrow. I told Timothy I was staying at mom's tonight because she wanted help setting up for a brunch she's hosting next week. He tried to argue but couldn't really say anything with my mom standing right there. So, here I am at my mom's house with my evidence folder and a change of clothes for tomorrow's party. The anniversary party starts at 3 tomorrow afternoon. Timothy thinks I'm meeting him there. His parents are expecting both of us, plus Avery. My lawyer is on standby for a call afterward. And Lisa? I have a feeling she'll be there despite Timothy's claim about her family emergency. Either way, I'm ready. The photos will speak for themselves. I know confronting him at his parents' anniversary party might seem cruel, but after months of gaslighting, lying, and watching him try to replace me as Avery's mother, I'm done protecting his feelings or reputation. His parents deserve to know who their son really is, and I deserve to take back my dignity on my own terms. Final update. It's been 3 weeks since the anniversary party at Timothy's parents' house. I've tried writing this update so many times, started typing, then deleted it because the words wouldn't come together right. It's hard to process everything, but I owe it to everyone who's been so kind in their messages. Thank you, truly. I've read everyone, even if I haven't had the energy to respond. That day didn't go how I pictured it. Mom and I got there with Avery just after 3. Timothy was already outside, pacing by the driveway. He looked awful. Unshaven, shirt wrinkled, hands fidgeting like he couldn't keep still. The second I opened the car door, he was on me, saying we needed to talk alone, right then. I didn't want Avery to see us arguing, so I just said I'd go in to see his parents first and kept walking. He followed, muttering something I couldn't catch. Inside, the house was warm and familiar. Photos of his parents 40 years together on every wall, maybe 15 or 20 people chatting over drinks. His mom came over fast, hugged Avery, told her how pretty her dress was, then turned to me. She said she was glad I made it, because Timothy had told her I might be stuck at work. It stung, realizing he'd been planting excuses about me. I told her I'd rearranged my schedule weeks ago to be there. She hesitated, like she wasn't sure what to say next, then smiled and moved on. I had the folder with me, the one I'd spent days putting together, all the bank statements, photos, property papers. When people started sitting down for lunch, I handed it to his mom. I said it was something she should see about our family. She opened it, started flipping through, the transfers to that secret account, the pictures of Timothy and Lisa with Avery, the condo records. Her face changed, like she couldn't believe what she was holding. Timothy reached for it, saying it wasn't what it looked like, but his dad stepped in, took the folder, and started reading too. He didn't say anything, just kept going page by page. Timothy tried explaining, said I'd misunderstood, that the money was for something else, that the photos were old. It sounded hollow. His dad looked up after a minute and asked if it was all true. Timothy stumbled over some excuse about our marriage being tough, but it didn't land. His mom asked why I hadn't told them sooner. I said I'd only found out the full truth recently myself. She nodded, but I could see she was torn, like she didn't know what to do with any of it. Then Lisa walked in. It was maybe half an hour later. I heard the doorbell, and there she was, holding a gift bag, smiling like she belonged. Timothy went pale, rushed over, and started whispering to her, trying to get her to leave. She saw me, hesitated, but didn't say anything to me. His sister got to her first, asked if she knew Timothy was married. Lisa said yes, but he told her we were separated, just staying together for Avery until things were settled. His sister showed her a photo from the folder, us at Christmas, all three of us, and asked how separated that looked. Lisa didn't have an answer. She left a few minutes later with Timothy trailing after her, saying he'd explain everything to his family later. Avery was outside the whole time, thankfully, playing with my mom and some cousins in the backyard, away from it all. His dad came over to me after a while, asked if everything I'd brought was accurate. I said it was. He nodded, said he was sorry, and that was it. His mom kept moving between guests, but I caught her looking at me a few times, like she wanted to say more. She finally asked if we could talk privately later, but I said I needed to get Avery home soon. I thanked them for having us, apologized for how it turned out, and we left. His dad shook my hand. His mom gave me a quick, uncertain hug. That night, Timothy called over and over. I didn't pick up. The next day, I went to my lawyer and started the divorce paperwork. It's not done, nowhere close. We filed for temporary custody of Avery, but Timothy's pushing back, saying I'm trying to cut him out of her life. He moved out a few days later, came by when I was at the diner and took his clothes and some stuff from the garage. I think he's at the condo now, but I haven't asked. Avery's been the hardest part. She keeps asking where Daddy is, why he doesn't come home. I tell her we're living apart now, but we both love her so much. Some days she accepts it, other days she doesn't. Last weekend, she cried herself to sleep, saying she misses him and Lisa, asking if they're mad at her. I held her, told her it's not her fault, but it broke me. She still mentions things from Lisa's house, the pool, the toys, and I don't know how to handle that yet. I cut my diner shifts back to just a few early mornings so I can be with Avery after school. Money's tight. Timothy's supposed to pay support, but nothing's set until the court decides, and that's taking forever. I'm making it work with my regular job and what's left of my tip savings. Avery's still in dance classes. She loves them too much to stop, and seeing her smile there keeps me going. Timothy's shown up at the diner twice since that night. The first time, he stood by the counter, looking like he hadn't slept, asking if we could talk. I said I was working and kept moving. My manager told him to leave when he wouldn't. The second time, he waited outside until my shift ended, said he'd made a mistake and wanted to fix things. I told him I couldn't do this anymore and walked away. He's texted a few times since, short messages about missing us, but I haven't replied. His parents called last Sunday. His mom asked how Avery's doing, said they didn't realize how bad things had gotten. She sounded sad, maybe guilty, but didn't say much else. I told her I don't hold it against them, but I need time before we talk more. I don't know what they're saying to Timothy now. I'm trying to figure out what's next. Some days I feel steady, making dinner with Avery, practicing her dance steps in the living room. Other days it hits me hard. I'll sit in the car after dropping her at school and just cry, wondering how we got here. The divorce is going to take months, maybe longer, and I still don't know what'll happen with all that money he hid. It's not over, not clean, but at least I'm not pretending anymore. A few days ago, my lawyer figured out where the money was coming from. Timothy's been taking side contracts through work, extra jobs he never told me about, and routing the payments into that second account. Quiet, steady, and completely hidden. That's how he paid for the condo, the trips, all of it. While I was counting diner tips to buy ballet shoes,